private sector is lagging in gender diversity at the top. According to the latest Grant Thornton Women in Business report released on March 12th, women's representation in senior management dropped from 40.4% in 2023 to 39.6% in 2024, and further to 36.2% in 2025 among a sample of 86 businesses in Malaysia. Is it a talent gap or a mindset problem? Women drive the economy as consumers and workers. But why aren't they leading more companies? What's really keeping women from top corporate roles? This is Money Matters. Hello there and welcome to Money Matters. I'm your host Azaria Tagaya. Thank you for joining us on TV3, where you can also stream us live on Tonton in HD, and you can also catch up with our other programs and catch up with past episodes of the show. Well, today on Money Matters, we're talking about women in leading positions, be it in corporate or in entrepreneurship. Now, this goes back to what our Prime Minister mentioned recently, where he said he wants more women to have more space and opportunities to lead and contribute to national development. But the question is, where are we right now, and are we where we really need to be at? Well, to give us some insight, joining us today is the Women Entrepreneur Network Association President, Syireen Rose Mohamad Sha'ari. Hi, Syireen, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great.
Thank you so much for being here. It is a breath of fresh air to have someone like you on the show, a beautiful, independent, strong female personality as a guest on Money Matters. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for saying I'm beautiful.
Well, you are, and you are a very strong personality leading the fray in women development, be it in entrepreneurship or corporate, and we're going to need your insights for this episode of the show. Now, I mentioned just now about what the Prime Minister mentioned. He wants more space to be given to women, and also the report that we mentioned in the opening bit there, where it says that women are actually lagging in leading positions. So if we take a look at the whole scenario, now women actually make up a large portion of the workforce, but at the same time, they're actually not in leadership positions, or so to speak, it's disproportionately low compared to males. So in your opinion, what are some of the barriers that are facing women from taking up leadership positions, be it in the corporate world or in entrepreneurship?
Thank you. So when I was first invited to speak at Money Matters, I was thinking I'm going to have to really make sure that I get this right. So the first thing I did was I went to the Mrs. Trusted Google, and I looked up for all the female leaders in Malaysia. So I just want to just put it out there that Malaysia do have powerful women. Now, having said, you're right, I think there are the lacking of women in more powerful spaces, and I feel it's been my experience that is, I think, I think it's really a systematic bias. Really, what I would put the word is implicit bias, likely coming from culture. I think a lot of us know that we need more women leading us, taking more positions, having their voices heard, but knowing it's not the same as doing. There's a gap between wanting to do it because of an age-old adage or understanding how women come forth. And I think this conversation of the empowerment is masculine and support is feminine needs to change. It needs to change. It doesn't mean that a woman needs to be in a masculine industry or have a more masculine demeanor to be powerful. Women are created powerful, and I don't think it needs more empowerment. I think they're already empowered. I feel that there needs to be more support to embody the possibility and the mastery that women can bring into the fore. Right. I think that's really what's not working right now.
But Syireen, when we look at successful women in the corporate world and also in business, in entrepreneurship, they share some key traits, we have to say that. But at the same time, the challenges that they face and the paths that they take often differ. So in your opinion, what would be some of the key strategies, leadership strategies, and also the mindset that actually set these women apart in these two different spaces?
Based on my experience and working with a lot of mentors, it takes time for women to really understand their space because of societal expectations. You know, we're expected to be mom, daughter, sister, and then business owner, leader, boss, a lot of things. We wear a lot of hats at a singular time. At a singular time. And men, when they leave their house, they're just boss or manager, or they just hold one hat. And women just don't. And I want to move a little bit beyond just mindset, because mindset is really quite temporary, because every time there's a new idea, your mindset kind of shift. When new data comes in, your mindset kind of shift. Or new gurus come in, your mindset kind of shift. But what I feel that I see in a lot of powerful women, they're very persistent. And they're very, their endurance to pursue what needs to be done despite all the hardship, they stay their path. And you can see it in our powerful leaders. I mean, we don't have to go overseas to look at how powerful women are. So how do we keep our leaders or our management or our corporate world leaders accountable to saying, no, yes, I agree to this policy, and then yes, I will do it, and if I don't, this will happen. I think that's what we need to really look into.
All right. Well, another factor that we need to look into as well, I think, is networking, because a lot of women are not aware of how networking and building successful connections can actually lead to the betterment of their businesses and also their role in the corporate world as well. But Syireen, it's time for us to take a short break, so we'll get to that after this. Don't go anywhere. Money Matters will be back after this with Syireen Rose Mohamad Sha'ari. Let's take a short break. with us on Money Matters. We're still with Syireen Rose Mohamad Sha'ari, the Women Entrepreneur Network Association President, and we're talking about women in leadership roles. Now, Syireen, before the break, we mentioned a little bit about networking and how important it is for women to actually advance in their careers and businesses. So how do you see women can actually build on real opportunities in networking that can, at the same time, also sustain them so that it can open up real opportunities for them in corporate and also entrepreneurship?
I love networking. I would say personally, I fully developed because I was trained in networking. I think colleges, universities should have a course on networking. People know what it's all about. People think they understand it. And then when we go to events, we'll just see people hanging out, drinking coffees and sitting with their friends anyway. And networking is very, very strategic. And I feel it's really a pertinent or important element in women especially. I'm not just talking about women, but also men. But since it's a conversation about women, they really need to understand how networking and leveraging on that relationship to build themselves first. It's all about the self. I mean, nobody does business with nobody, and nobody does business with just the business. They actually do business with the person. Yeah,
so the whole point is to expand your network.
It is. And to be strategic about it. You don't talk to everybody. You go, I mean, it's nice to make friends. Be friendly. You know, go to an event, be a really nice person that people want to have conversation with. But be very intentional. You have an hour, we have an hour and a half. How many people do you really get to meet in an hour and a half? So you need to make a beeline to the person you really want to meet, who will create that impact for you or create that access for you. The mindset, as you would say, mindset, is to enter a room and understanding is all about influence. So what about my influence do I have to grow more in either the corporate environment or in business that gets me to the access that allows me to grow further.
All right, so have a focused mindset, know what you're going to do and who you need to connect with in order to expand your business. Now, speaking about entrepreneurship and business, a lot of the women-owned businesses are in the micro and small business segment. So what do you think are the key barriers that are preventing women from actually expanding into multi-million-dollar or even billion-dollar entrepreneurships?
If there's one thing that I have experienced and witnessed in WENA, when we do our programs, and in BNI, when I speak to a lot of women who comes in with their businesses, it's experience. A lot of us we are predominantly first generation or second generation in our circle doing business. So we don't really have the right acumen or understanding people who in our surroundings. You need to look for mentors. You need to look for mentors who can guide you. And they gave me multiple insights about leadership, about branding, and it kind of shifted how I looked at how I wanted to do my business 2024, 2025. And it got me moving to a different direction. So even if you start small, right? You need to understand where you want to move forward. Do you want to stay as a lifestyle business, or do you want to scale? If you want to scale, you got to work on your business models, you got to work on your finances, you got to be more literate. You need to go to all these programs, and we have so many.
So talking about scale and investments and funding, women often are given space to less funding and venture capital as compared to men. So how do you think women can better position themselves in order to attract investments and also scale?
That reality is super real. Women do get less support, less funding. Again, my experience has been is the lack of trust in the capacity or the capability of women, and I think that's literally unjustified. A lot of women do a lot of things, and you can see a lot of women do very good business. They just need that mentorship. To streamline their business model, to get clear about the finances. They need to go to programs. The government has provided so many different programs that can empower more women if they want. because funders, venture capitalists, banks, they're looking at really strong industries like construction and like, you know, really strong businesses. And when women come and get, oh, you know, I'm kind of doing retail, they go like, what can I do with you? But that's not true. The question is, do you want?
Okay, I guess it goes back to personal branding as well and how you actually market yourself. Well, I think we're going to talk more about that after this. It's time for us to take another short break. When we come back, more with the president of WENA, Women Entrepreneur Network Association, Syireen Rose Mohamad Sha'ari. Don't go anywhere. Money Matters is going for a short break. Still with us on Money Matters with Syireen Rose Mohamad Sha'ari, the Women Entrepreneur Network Association President. Now, Syireen, as we're leading up to the final segment of the show, the final few questions that we can actually ask you and discuss here today, we also want to find out about women and the opportunities offered to them. So many corporations often promote supplier diversity and women-focused initiatives, but at the same time, we see that female entrepreneurs often struggle to break into the supply chain. So what do you think about this? Are companies genuinely creating opportunities for women, or is this simply some sort of a PR stunt? Are you looking back at your experiences?
A lot of experiences, and I know this because I've seen peers submitting and a lot of applications.
When you say does it, you mean creating opportunities, real opportunities?
Real opportunities. And what I felt work was, there is that avenue. They did provide that avenue. What I felt doesn't work is all the paperwork, you know, and I think, like I said, women predominantly are new in this, and they need the guidance. But I see a lot of organizations really opening up and providing it. So you can see real transactions where they have vendor programs, fantastic. And then there's some who's just saying stuff. As I was saying just now, if we're going to do any policies or we're going to do, you know, conversations about it, there needs to be consequences when it's not executed. But again, going back to, is it true that a lot of companies are giving access to women? I'm still saying there are strategic biases, you know, systematic biases, and I think systematic biases needs to be systematically educated.
Yeah, so that we can overcome them.
Yeah, we need to know where the
gaps
hiccup
lie.
is. The hiccup is, and make corrections there.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, before the break, we were talking a little bit about networking and also personal branding. So women often underestimate the power of personal branding. So how do you think women can better position themselves and make strategic moves in order to advance themselves in leadership roles, both in the business and also corporate spaces?
Women could be participating in panels, workshops, create presence. They need to own the space that they choose to hold. We can't go into a space that says, when's my turn? You know, you don't need permission. If you really want to understand the power of the media, right, you need to have good PR. You gotta learn how to speak. If you prefer to write, learn how to write very well. And be consistent in your messaging, be consistent in how you show up.
Yes.
And that's how brands are created.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Syireen, now with a few minutes left on the show, perhaps as a parting thought, what do you think for women transitioning from business owner to industry leader or from mid-level executive to CEO? What do you think would be the one mindset or skill or strategy that they must adopt in order to advance themselves in these areas?
First, I would say it's not going to be an easy road. If life was easy, then everybody would be millionaires, zillionaires, have securities of money. You know, it's persistence, it's perseverance, and a lot of endurance, and recognizing that sometimes your ideas may not be so popular or not trending, but it's innovative. If you look into history, innovative or innovations are not quickly adopted because it's different. People don't like change. And so if you really, really believe in something and you want to climb the corporate ladder, there must be systems in organizations where you need to understand, but to be persistent in your journey. And for women who are doing business, as I understand it, create that ladder. We have the opportunity.
You create your own.
We create our own ladders because it's our business. You know, we don't have glass ceilings. We just go break through and we just, you know, I mean, there are two different contexts, but the idea is to be persistent in your dreams and endure all the hardship. It's not going to be easy. So if you crash and fall, get up.
Knowing your path and being committed to it. Well, that's wonderful. Syireen, it has been amazing speaking to you for this past half hour, but unfortunately, that's all the time we have for Money Matters this week. Thank you once again for being here with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was Syireen Rose Mohamad Sha'ari, the Women Entrepreneur Network Association President, joining us on Money Matters this week. And thank you to you as well for joining us for the past half hour. If you missed any part of today's show, you can always catch up with us on Tuntun. Until next time, I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. And to our Muslim viewers, Selamat Berbuka Puasa. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.